Good to see you. It's that time of week where we spend some time with our good friend Matt Lee, and we're talking about a new report zeroing in on Kingston, Matt, and that is recent sales trends for Kingston. Do explain. Good
Yes.
morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing great.
Good. Good. So we're going to talk about the first quarter of 2023, and we're going to zero in on how that market is playing out in comparison to last year, also in comparison to the last quarter when we look at Q4 of 2022. So we know that February of 2022 was the highest peak in the market, and we know that it dropped in April, May, to what we've seen as a relatively normal, stable market from then to now. So, what we want to see is what's happening now because it's a spring market. In my opinion, what we're seeing is that we're going back to that market that used to happen before COVID. Winter used
Mm.
to be slow, spring was really busy. In the middle of this whole thing, this pandemic, it was busy all the time because people only talked about real estate, really, because they couldn't go anywhere and they were thinking about how do I get out of my house? What do we do? So now we can use the numbers, we can compare and see what the market is looking like moving forward.
Okay, and in a word, busy.
Yeah. So if we look at the Q1 in comparison to Q4 of 2022, our prices for homes are up 2.4%. So we're kind of starting to climb again. Inventory is low, and that means that we're starting to get into that spring market.
And it's going to get even busier in the summer, I'd imagine.
It should be, yeah. So we should be busy until probably the middle of July. You know, we'll get that summer lull will happen because people will do holidays and they'll go see family, and we'll get that break in between. August is slow. I find August and December relatively similar,
Okay.
really, and then fall picks up again. If we look at the numbers from year to date, we are actually down 10.8%. So even though we're starting to climb back up a little bit, we were actually down almost as far as 18%. Now we're, this year over year is 10.8. So because we're starting to climb out of that and get back to the normal. The interest rates have leveled off. We've seen that they haven't done any increases. Buyers are starting to feel secure and more comfortable with the market. You know, they're starting to get back out there, and the weather's getting nicer. So we're seeing that as well.
We talked about housing sales and where we stand with that from quarter to quarter. What about condo sales?
So condos did relatively the same thing. Condo prices weren't as high as houses, so they did drop. They dropped 8.8%,
Wow.
which made their average price about 406,000. So the average house price is 765,000, which is higher than we normally talk about because I talk about from Leeds and Grenville
Right.
to Lennox and Addington. We're specifically talking about Kingston today. So we're talking about these numbers. So they didn't drop as much because there wasn't as much room. The percentage is where it is.
Can you compare what you've uncovered with the Kingston stats compared to national sales?
Yeah, actually, we're right in line, really. You know, we get these numbers from Royal LePage Corporate. So if we look at the numbers for Canada, they decreased 9.2%, and then the average price, aggregate price for the whole country is 778,300. So we're actually not that far off, really, compared to the whole country. So we're taking in smaller communities, but we're also taking in the big cities, right?
Mm.
So those numbers look pretty good. But if you look at what the quarter to quarter did, we might be down 9.2% year over year, but Canada increased 2.8%. So we're on the way up. Everybody seems to be going in the same direction. That tells me we're going back to the old market, and we're going to go through those waves throughout the year.
Okay. You don't have a crystal ball. Very quickly. Bank of Canada interest rates.
Well, you know, it's one of these things that we'll just have to wait and see what they say. You know, it sounds like the Americans are going to increase. We'll have to see if they're going to follow. It's tough to tell. We'll just have to wait and listen.
Okay. All right. Matt Lee, we always appreciate your insight. We thank you so much. Be well, take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Take care.
Real estate tips brought to you by Matt Lee of Royal LePage.